Death in its own right is a very scary thing to think about, mostly because it's inevitable. Nothing can stop you from dying, because eventually, death will come. Sometimes it's by natural causes, sometimes it's from accidents, and sometimes it's from another person. However, some deaths go far beyond the terror that death usually brings. Some have died in the most disturbing and freaky ways, in ways you definitely would not want your life to end. Here are 5 such cases in which lives have been lost due to a disturbing cause. Number 1. Shot near a grave. After his wife died, an elderly man named David Pendleton built a cemetery plot on his land and dug up a grave for himself next to his wife for when his time came. One day he was found by a deputy standing just a few feet away from his own grave and was having a mental breakdown. He was aiming a pistol at the deputy, who told him to drop his weapon. When David refused, the deputy fatally shot him. He was, of course, buried in the grave next to his wife. Nobody knew what caused Pendleton to break down like he did. They concluded it was from the loss of his wife. But the idea of walking above dead bodies is already a creepy thought when in a cemetery. But knowing someone was actually killed in that cemetery is even more so. Number 2. Dying for real after believed to be dead. A Russian woman was declared dead in June 2012. However, when she was about to be buried, she suddenly woke up screaming. They pulled her out of the grave to discover she was going into major shock. She was rushed to the hospital but was declared dead once more from a heart attack. This was obviously a very unfortunate tragedy for her husband to have to go through twice, and he even ended up suing the hospital for making the mistake in the first place. Number 3. Killed by a lawnmower. A middle-aged man in Sweden was riding his lawnmower one day, cutting the grass around his home. He was believed to have come across a steep incline, which caused him to fall right in front of his lawnmower, which drove over him and sliced his body up with the blades underneath. I cannot think of how terrifying of a death that would be, to see a lawnmower drive over you seconds before. Number 4. Bursting into flames. In February 2013, Danny Vanzett's body was found in his apartment, his body completely incinerated. What makes it even more disturbing is that there was no evidence of an accelerant for the fire, and an autopsy wasn't helpful in determining any either. Until evidence is found one day, for now he simply just burst into flames in the middle of his home. And finally, number 5. Piranha suicide. A depressed and intoxicated Bolivian teenager was seen rowing a canoe down a river before he jumped into the water and suffered millions of bites from a swarm of piranhas. Only minutes later, he died of major blood loss. People thought that maybe he was unaware of the piranhas in the water, but it was revealed that he was a fisherman who spent many years rowing down that very river, and he knew well that piranhas lived in that part of the river. It turned out that he intended to commit suicide. Taking your own life by swimming with piranhas? Such a gruesome way to end it all. Thank you all for watching. I hope I managed to give you a nice dose of nightmares to bring to bed with you. Also, if you've heard of another death that sticks out more than others, feel free to share the grisly details in the comments below. Also, be safe out there. This is Master of Horror. Happy hauntings.